Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss zones as a part of economic security. Now, zones, by their nature, can be, depending on if you do have zones within your country, a very important pillar of economic security. Now, economic security basically it can be defined as having a stable income, or the conditions to have a stable income and resources to support a certain standard of living within your country. And going further, you could say that um, it's having the stability and institutions that provide and maintain stability. So, as part of those institutions, zones are part of that arsenal of institutions that will help to create that stability. There are others, such as a central bank, especially if it's an independent central bank, and they can deal with the monetary and fiscal policies and all of these different things within countries. But zones, by their nature, these are geographic areas designated by law, decree, by regulation of some sort, that say that this area is different from the rest of the economy, and we're going to associate certain incentives, certain laws that are different, sometimes radically different, sometimes just a little different than the rest of the economy. One of the main incentives and legal changes is customs duties and customs duty relief. So, for example, within a zone, typically, you wouldn't be charged customs duties on raw materials that you bring in, building materials, etc., etc., or intermediate goods, until you decide to take them into the rest of the economy. As is, of course, if you do some sort of value added and assembly, etc., then that might change the story in terms of transforming the good, right? And then no duties would necessarily, or reduced duty would apply. So zones, by their very nature, are an institution or a mechanism through which countries can use for economic security. And I'm not trying to say that this is the only strategy or only tool. It is not. In fact, zones work best when they're part of a larger economic strategy. If zones, having zones for themselves by itself is the strategy, typically that's a recipe for trouble. I wouldn't say disaster, but it can lead to that, but it's trouble. It's typically that zones are part of a wider economic policy, whether it be an industrial policy or some sort of export-driven type of policy, etc., etc. But it fits within a wider framework that's intended to aid something else, right? So zones will definitely, especially in the climate that we're in, aid or be part of a nation, if they have them, of course, if a nation's securing a nation's economic security. One, how is this done? One, just the nature of the zones themselves, and what they do in terms of encouraging employment, encouraging economic development, encouraging infrastructure, whether inside the zone or to connect to the zone to the rest of the world. In addition, employment. Of course, employment is always great for economic security. So these are the things that zones can do. So if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.